him to hit the camera.
Call this meeting of the Blue Springs Planning Commission to order. Ask that you please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone that's here this evening, those that are watching at home on TV. Go over our agenda for this evening. We have a consent agenda which consists of the minutes of the last meeting and a final plat for Richard Meadows. We will vote on those as one item unless somebody moves to remove the final plat from the consent agenda. We have a public hearing on the vacation of amended McDonald subdivision, and then we have an alternative sign plan request for Adams Dairy Landing. So with that, we'll move to the first agenda item, and I'll request action on that.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, well, that's approved. We'll move on to the public hearing. I will open the public hearing. I will call on City Attorney Mr. McDonald for a list of exhibits, and I would call on staff to make a presentation, call on the applicant to make a presentation, then we'll open it to the audience for any pros or cons. I open the public hearing. Mr. McDonald.
Mr. Chairman, the city has 8 exhibits. Number 1 is a staff report with attachments. Number 2 is the affidavit of publication in the Blue Springs Examiner. Number 3 is the application with attachments. Number 4 is the 185-foot notification map. Number 5 is a list of names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. Number 6 is a copy of the letter sent to those property owners. Number 7 is Title IV Land Use Section, Blue Springs Code of Ordinances. Number 8 is the 2003 Comprehensive Plan. Those are all of the exhibits the city would offer into the record at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Allen, would you like to make the staff presentation?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Coming before you this evening is a request from McDonald's Corporation to vacate a previously recorded storm sewer easement. The applicant is requesting to vacate a 10-foot storm sewer easement centrally located on the lot at northeast corner of Mock and 7, as shown on the map there. The dark blotch in the middle is the easement to be vacated. The yellow highlighted angled line is the 10-foot sewer easement that is the new easement that's included with the previously approved final plat, which was recorded just back on November 20th. Again, the request is to vacate that portion there in the center, the darkened portion that's located in the center of the lot to gain clear title of the property. The storm sewer easement is located entirely within the subject property and does not abut any adjacent parcels, as you can see there. And there are no known utilities in that area to be proposed to be vacated. This shows a little bit more clearly in relation to the existing development, the new building, and the drive-through lanes. You can see where that's located. Again, it's just a remnant piece. Request to be vacated. With your recommendation, that would move to the City Council at their meeting next Monday, January 4th. And I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Allen? Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant, please make the presentation. Need to be sworn in, please.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this case will be true self you got?
I do.
Need your name and address?
My name is Mindy Foss, FAHS, and my home address, the corporate address,
Corporate is fine.
10801 Maston Boulevard, in Suite 400, Overland Park, Kansas, 66210.
Can I ask
Good
you to
evening.
repeat your name, please?
Mindy Foss. And I apologize, I wasn't aware that I was giving a presentation this evening. So, very much, like Scott said, we're essentially just trying to clear title on the property. So far as we know, and I can determine, no utilities have ever been placed in this tiny little easement area. I'm not sure why it was granted, it was a significant amount of time ago, but then it was, as you can see, through the yellow easement, that's where the storm sewer line ended up being. It's not located in any improvements, and again, it's just primarily to clear up title.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to speak in favor or opposed to this? Bring it back up here for any comments on the record. Close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move for approval of vacation 1209-2417.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve that. We'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Billups.
Aye.
May. Aye. Culpepper.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Henning.
Aye.
Banks.
Aye.
Trozen.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye. We will recommend approval. Okay, master sign plan for Adams Ferry Landing. Mr. Holly.
Thank you. Before you tonight is approval of an amendment for an alternative master sign plan for Adams Dairy Landing. As most of you are aware, Adams Dairy Landing is located at the intersection of I-70 and Adams Dairy Parkway. It encompasses area on both the east and west side, but is primarily for these purposes located on the east side in area, what has been termed Area 1. I won't go over the entire history of Adams Dairy Landing, but it is pertinent to note that the master alternative sign was originally approved in July of 2008, and then there was a first amendment that was approved later in May of 2009, and that amendment was to decrease the size of what an anchor tenant was in order to allow both Gordman's and Kohl's a slightly larger sign than they would have otherwise excuse me, been allowed. This particular amendment, being the second amendment, will primarily impact the areas, excuse me, there that you see highlighted in yellow. It will impact really only the smaller shop tenants. If you'll go to page 4 of 8 and 5 of 8, that pretty much has all of the pertinent information. The master sign plan that was included in your packet originally defined the area that was allowed for small tenant signs, and what they're looking to do is try to find a way to sort of even out the size of signs for smaller tenants as opposed to those tenants with larger names, I should say smaller tenant names, as opposed to those with larger tenant names. And the clearest example, of course, the clearest example really came when they saw the gap in the sign. This particular sign that you're viewing now is their proposed size. It's scaled out to meet the size that they have originally proposed here in their request. If any of you have been out there, you know that the gap sign that is up right now is much smaller than that and looks smaller. In trying to even that out, they're proposing then that there be an allowance for a 7-foot, 8-inch letter size, maximum letter size, and staff in that would recommend that that be reduced to a 3-foot 6-inch, which would be 1 foot larger than the Maurice's sign, but it also would allow for the multiple line text similar to what you see for the gap generation on that particular drawing. Because they were looking at changing that, they wanted to still find ways to control the signage, so they reduced from 10% down to 7% of the area of the tenant space, and that then impacted 2 other areas of the master sign plan, and those were noted in the section on building signs. I think that pretty well covers it. If there are questions, I'll stand for questions, and I know the applicant is here and is also available for questions.
Other questions for Mr. Hawley? Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant, please make your presentation.
Ken Boone, Auctioneer and Hare. It's good to see everybody. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. We think this one's pretty simple. We knew we were asking for more, and so we decided to give something back too. We reduced the total square footage allowed by 3%. But you can see how critical it is, and everybody who's been out there to see the gap sign, when you look at it architecturally, it's just too small. It just doesn't fit. And there's even tenants out there that the example we like to use is the name ID. And if you can imagine putting that ID on there, it would get lost in the architecture. So what we're trying to do is balance out the architecture, make sure that it looks appropriate to the facade, it's not about square footage of the space, it's about the retailers feeling like they're on even par with each other. And because of that small 1, 2, 3 letter word, it really reduces the size. We agree with the stipulations by staff. We think it's a good compromise to go to the 42 inches, and we agree with what the staff report says.
What did you say about staff recommendation?
We agree.
You agree with that?
We do. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Question? Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ASP-12-09-2422 with staff recommendations.
Do we have a motion to approve and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And approved. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to other business. Mr. Parker, you wanted to?
Yes, I did. Thank you, Keith. I just wanted to apologize to my commissioners been brought to my attention that my calculations were not accurate on for the last commission meeting on the number of lots, preliminary platted or platted, that's available on 2,000 square foot homes. So I wanted to apologize to everybody on that my figures were not accurate on that. It is less by almost half that, so I just want to apologize to anybody if I swayed anybody's vote or anything. I just want to state there was a mix-up. I messed up on it, and I apologize.
So we need to re-vote on that.
Mr. Chairman, I think everybody who probably watched the council, if not, is aware that Mr. Tharp very generously revisited, and the square footage on those homes out there is going to be a lot larger than what he originally presented to us.
Okay, do we have other items of business?
Well, I don't have any business, but has anybody noticed an increase in traffic at Mach and 7?
Yes, tonight.
Is there a change in the light timing, or
I don't know.
is it just traffic?
I assume it's just traffic, I don't know. But
I mean, in both directions. And coming off the freeway eastbound on 7, it's been backed up.
they're back clear up on the interstate getting off
Right.
there.
So, I don't know, we're getting a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Every night.
We did just come across, get done with the holiday shopping season, so.
Maybe buy Blue Springs worked.
I hope that's the case. But I just thought it was a little unusual that we have that much backup.
Okay, if there's no other items of business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All opposed, same sign.
I got the train now.
Yeah.